Councilmembers Reamer and Glass for all their hard work on this, and Dr. Orland and Mr. Camacho as well. Before passing it to Dr. Orland and Mr. Camacho, our central staff who have prepared some great packets on these items, I'd like to briefly go over a few of the major issues that T&E addressed. The first item in question is related to parking lot districts. The proposed budget included increases to our parking fees and our enforcement. But the T&E committee strongly believed we must delay any increases in parking fees or parking enforcement until our economy is stronger, which President Biden's administration expects to be toward the end of 2021 and early 2022, which is why we've proposed delaying the effective date of these fee changes. The second item in question is related to the DOT Mass Transit Fund. We very much need to build back our ridership on our buses. Our bus ridership in particular never quite dropped off as much as rail ridership on WMATA because our essential workers counted on it to get to work during the pandemic. But we need to continue to remove the financial pressure from our bus riders, and we need to encourage our choice riders to look at bus routes as they make decisions about resuming their commutes to their offices this fall and this summer. So the T&E committee strongly believes that we must extend a fair holiday for Montgomery County ride-on users through September 2021, and that will also give MDOT some time to conduct a study of equitable fees for the future fare restructuring consideration. We also want to ensure that our public transportation network is becoming more green and more efficient through the acquisition of new buses, new electric buses, and the creation of bus priority lanes. We're very excited about the new facility on a public-private partnership in Brookville, which will generate, store, and charge and use enough solar energy to charge at least 44 buses. The third item is related to the transportation fees I mentioned in item 1. The fourth item is related to the MCDOT General Fund and CIP. Pedestrian and bike safety is a key part of Vision Zero in Montgomery County and will not only address safety issues, but also equity issues. The T&E committee believes that the Safe Routes to School program funding must be increased so we can better understand where and when we can create improved bicycle and pedestrian environments for our MCPS students to encourage our students, and often the parents who walk or travel with them, to walk and bike to school. The program needs more funding and needs to complete a countywide assessment so that next year, in the full CIP year, we can assign more funding to the areas that will give us the most improvements for our limited CIP dollars. So with that, let me turn it over to Dr. Orland and Mr. Camacho. Let me thank you again for your hard work and allow you to elaborate on the points I made.
I think we'll start. Mr. Camacho is going to lead the discussion on the parking division.
Thanks.
Budget.
Thank you, Dr. Orland. Good morning. So to start, we'll begin with the parking lot districts. So as Council President Hucker mentioned, the committee made a few recommendations to the county executive's recommended FY22 budget. The first of which is to approve the FY22 operating budget as submitted by the county executive. However, with amendments, as Council President Hucker mentioned, to the FY22 transportation fees, charges, and fares resolution, which doesn't impact expenditures, but it does impact budgeted revenue for each of the parking lot districts in FY22. And I'll get into a little bit of those specifics a little later on. That was the first recommendation. The second is approving repayment by the Bethesda parking lot district for a $3 million loan to the Silver Spring parking lot district in FY23 and 24. This was a loan that stems back from FY16. The committee also recommended adding language to the FY22 operating budget resolution that creates more flexibility, stipulating repayment no later than FY27, just because the fiscal situation in the parking lot districts is a little bit up in the air currently. The committee also recommended approving amendments to the FY21 through 26 CIP for parking Silver Spring facility renovations, parking Wheaton facility renovations, and facility parking planning in the Silver Spring parking lot districts. And also amending the county executive's changes to the FY21 through 26 CIP expenditure schedule for the parking Bethesda facility renovations by rejecting a proposed $1.4 million expenditure increase in FY25 and $500,000 expenditure increase in FY26. The committee recommended looking at these increases in the context of the FY22 through 27 CIP instead. So with the delayed implementation of the fares and fees resolution, the committee recommended adding $115,325 to Category 3 funds to address an anticipated negative fund balance in the Wheaton parking lot district via general fund transfer, and then adding the same amount to Category 1 to use ARPA dollars to pay back the general fund when they become available in FY22. So those were the committee recommendations, but I can go a little bit more in detail if the council would like me to.
Thanks, Mr. Camacho. I don't see any questions at this point.
Okay. So those were the 5 recommendations. If the council would like to do a straw vote on those recommendations?
Yes, if there are no question, all those in favor of adopting the committee recommendation on parking lot district funds and associated CIP amendments, please raise your hand. That is unanimous.
Great.
You're on a roll, Mr. Camacho.
Thank you.
Next, we'll take up the Department of Transportation FY22 Mass Transit Fund operating budget and CIP amendments. And we have a committee recommendation on this as well. Welcome, Mr. Conklin. Please just raise your hand or something if you want to be recognized, obviously. And Mr. Morris, thank you. Mr. Camacho.
No, it's back to me now.
Oh, sorry, Glenn.
That's okay. Good morning, everybody. The Mass Transit Fund, I'll go through, like Carlos did, I'll go through the changes or the decisions the T&E committee is recommending. First of all, on the operating budget for the Mass Transit Fund, the county executive recommends approval of it with the following changes. First of all, as Mr. Hucker, you mentioned, this is an agreement with the executive to extend the fair holiday on ride-on through the end of September of 2021. Also to approve Councilmember Reamer's proposal to extend to all bus operating hours the Seniors Ride Free program. For the last several years, the Seniors Ride Free on ride-on and on Metrobus from 9:30 to 3 o'clock Monday through Friday, and from 8:30 to 4 o'clock on Saturdays. This would extend that to all hours and apply to all seniors and disabled. Agreed with the executive to fund the fair equity study that Mr. Hucker referred to during this summer, and that needs to be ready by around Labor Day so the council can hold a public hearing on any changes in fares, in fares, and make a decision as to what to do and have DOT implement it by the beginning of October. And finally, to return ride-on service levels to the pre-COVID levels, but at a slightly slower pace than what the executive had recommended. It would bring it back to about 97% of current levels by around Labor Day and 100% by next February. In the CIP, the committee recommended concurring with the executive on amendments having to do with the transit radio, Master Lease's transit radio system replacement project, the ride-on bus restructuring study, Burtonsville Park and Ride improvements, bus rapid transit Viersville Road, and the Great Seneca Science Car to Transit improvements, all is recommended by the executive. I should point out that many of these are being included because of the availability now of either state aid through, I guess, what we used to be called a bond bill, and also funds from the American Rescue Plan, which are sort of go to the state, and then the state then it's sort of a knee bone connected to the thigh bone thing. Bottom line is we indirectly get money from ARPA, and that allows us to program several millions of dollars for other projects in the Mass Transit Fund, and many of these are funded that way. The committee approves the executive's recommended scope and expenditure schedule for the BRT 355 project. except to change some funding sources around, not the amount of funding per year. That would remain the same, as well as the scope. But the funding sources would change so that there would be shifting $6 million of new state aid for that project into the earlier years of the project, into FY22 and 23, and to fund the FY24 with GO bonds. To accelerate funding in the bus rapid transit system development project, to be able to accelerate the preliminary engineering for the North Bethesda Transitway in FY22 and 23. Currently, it's programmed in 24 and 25. Again, that's made possible because of the change in the state aid in the 355 project. There's no net additional current revenue FY22, so it's revenue neutral to the budget in FY22. To approve the executive's recommendation for the ride-on bus fleet, he had proposed changing the project to be able to add to use 10 more electric buses in 22, 23, and 24, and to replace what would otherwise be diesel buses. However, the Councilmember Reamer had recommended adding an additional 10 ride-on buses that are electrics in FY23, and the committee concurred with that instead of buying 10 more small diesel buses. And finally, the committee recommended the same scope and expenditure for the bus priority liens project, but just to change its name to bus priority program minor projects, because it reflects more what is actually happening in that project, and to add the state highway administration to the coordination section of that project. And again, as Carlos mentioned as well, I can go in more detail on these if you like, but those are the committee's recommendations on transit.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Orland. Very good. Councilmember Reamer.
Thank you. I want to say thanks to my committee colleagues. I think there's a lot of great stuff in here, and compliments to MCDOT. I think we're getting some really important and concrete projects going. I love the Seneca bus strategy, and I'm glad we accelerated the North Bethesda Transitway, so forth. I wanted to expressly appreciate my committee colleagues for supporting fare improvements, fare elimination for seniors and people with disabilities at all hours. That this is a community where we know that there's a lot of folks on fixed incomes, and for whom the regular use of the bus is a meaningful share of their discretionary income. And so by making seniors ride free, people with disabilities ride free, all times, we're going to have, I think, a positive impact on their ability to have independence and take trips as befits their life choices, and not stretch the budget just as much. So I'm very enthusiastic about exploring low-income fare reductions in general. And I think there's a lot of issues involved with how you build that system. And I think Metro is looking at the same thing, and we ought to try to align regionally there. But we can easily verify seniors and people with disabilities now, and I think it makes a lot of sense to proceed with that now. I want to thank Councilmember Glass, of course, for his several years of advocacy here on Kids Ride Free and fares in general. I think you've really helped to move the needle there, so thank you. And then on the electric buses, really appreciate the recommendation for 10 more electric buses. This is for the MTOC. So one of the interesting things is, due to the proximity of charging, the electric buses tend to operate within a certain radius of where they have charging facilities. And so that means that our electric bus fleet is more down county at this time. And this proposal will support the outfitting of MTOC and an up county electric bus fleet. So making sure that we get that clean technology on the road countywide. And this is it's not an operating budget impact this year. It's a CIP, current revenue impact, next year. So obviously the CIP is going to be squeezed, and we'll see where, hopefully we'll be able to keep this in. But clean electric buses for the up county, and yet another step forward for our clean energy strategy here. And I hope we can make it happen in the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your advocacy. Councilmember Glass.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. There's a lot of good things to like in this proposal, as Councilmember Reamer just outlined. And you know, one of the things that's not in this proposal, but that I had asked for in a memo was to analyze what fare free rides would be here in Montgomery County, given that over the last year we have had fare-free rides, recognizing that so many who are reliant on public transportation are our frontline workers who did not have the option to work from home. And so given the unprecedented reality of what we've encountered over the last year, I thought it was an important public policy conversation to have about what that means moving forward. And the reality being that this budget could not accommodate full widespread either fare reductions or cutting fees in half, or quite frankly, having fare-free rides all the time. I am glad with what the committee has come up with, concurring with the executive's decision and the council lobbying that decision to have fare-free rides through the fall. And then greatly appreciate Councilmember Reamer continuing to push the ball in the direction of more transit equity with his proposal for seniors and those with disabilities, allowing them to ride free. It is a continued push. It's a collective push to make sure that we have transit equity here in Montgomery County. Again, recognizing that 78% of those who take buses in Montgomery County on our ride-on system are people of color, and 47% of them make less than $30,000 a year. And so with that as the baseline, I also appreciate the county executive looking into a fare equity study to see how we can more narrowly target communities and populations that need help, recognizing that so much of their take-home pay is in transportation, and it's in public transportation. And then aside from those items, I think the greening of our network is really important. And it's a conversation that we're going to have more and more of, but I think this continues to put us in that direction of electrifying our fleet and coming up with in a separate conversation, the capital improvements to be able to electrify our fleet. But again, we're moving in the right direction, and appreciate the committee's work and all of our colleagues for seeing where we need to go and seeing how we need to, again, it comes down to transit equity and making sure that everybody can safely and economically travel throughout our county and around our region. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilmember Glass. Both you and Councilmember Reamer have been real advocates for a lot of the positive movement in this budget. And Councilmember Friedson, you're next. Let me thank you for your inputs as well. Always very welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and Mr. President. Wearing both hats in this discussion, which we appreciate. Thank you to the T&E committee for all of your great work on ride-on access and expansion of the electric bus fleet. I won't talk too much about that since so much has already been said, but really excited about that progress. I just wanted to really appreciate the work of the committee, of DOT, county executive, and our state delegation to ensure that 355 BRT is shovel ready and puts us in a position so we can take advantage of federal infrastructure possibilities, which is extremely exciting and absolutely essential. Builds on our efforts last year to position for this. And I just wanted to thank again Dr. Orland, Director Conklin, and the DOT team for their efforts. I think we really did great work last year to put us in position this year to potentially take advantage of this, specifically as it relates to bus rapid transit and Rockville Pike in particular, with dedicated transit lanes. I think it represents the single most important transit improvement, as well as one of the most significant economic development tools for this particular corridor, which has lots of job opportunities. Federal installations is really critical, particularly through the Pike District, North Bethesda, and into downtown Bethesda. And I also appreciate the staff's and the committee's support for shifting the state money for Maryland 385 to free up capacity to accelerate the design of the North Bethesda Transitway from either White Flint Metro or Grosvenor Metro to Rock Spring and Westfield Montgomery. I just wanted to point out that regardless of how the state's managed lane project plays out moving forward, the North Bethesda Transitway is going to provide an in-demand, high-quality transit service from the Red Line to Rock Spring Park, which the county is trying to transform as part of our broader efforts from a suburban office park to a vibrant mixed-use community. And that's really exactly what the 2017 Rock Spring Sector Plan was all about. This will help bring those efforts from the previous council and the great work that our colleagues who served on that and our predecessors did several years ago. And I also just lastly wanted to note that getting the North Bethesda Transitway going will help with what we all hope will be future bus link to Tyson's, real transit connecting Northern Virginia and Montgomery County directly, regardless of how the state's managed lane project plays out. And that transit link from Rock Spring to the West Branch of the Beltway and over the American Legion Bridge to Virginia is something that the council and the county has long pursued, well before these current ideas for the Beltway and 270. So this is long awaited and certainly has been long supported, and I think really prioritizes a key connection between Montgomery County and Northern Virginia, part of our regional efforts. Council President, Councilmember Navarro, I know Councilmember Glass on TPB and COG. We've been working on these issues for quite a long time, and I think this really takes us in a positive step forward. So just wanted to thank everybody. This is a real positive collaboration and coordination. I think will make a significant difference, and I think puts us in a really great position to come out of the pandemic stronger than when we went into it. And I know all of us are working really hard for that. So thank you, kudos, and really excited about this particular vote here and this particular approval.
Thank you, Councilmember Friedson. Anyone else? I'll just
Mr. President.
Yes, Councilmember Rice.
Yep. I really just wanted to highlight again about ride-on fares. It was Councilmember Glass and I who had lobbied the executive in extending that ride-on fare holiday until the end of June. Something that was incredibly important. Many of us rode on ride-on during the pandemic, not only to see the practices that were being done by DOT, but also understand how challenging it was for folks who were riding. And I'll remind folks that there were plenty of times where people got passed up by buses because of capacity, who ended up being late for work, who ended up having huge impacts on their schedules because of what happened. And so it really does, again, highlight how important ride-on is for folks. And it reminds us that we need to ensure both access and affordability. And so from that perspective, to continue to push in the direction of, longtime advocate of kids ride free. I reminded the council when I first joined back in 2010 that we used to get ride-on tokens. And so all kids who were in school got to ride-on for free every single time, no questions asked. And so it's incredibly important for us to continue that, because that's how you build ridership. That's how you build folks continuing to be a part of the system, is encouraging them as young people to utilize this great system that we have. It should not just be about necessity. The only people that should be on our ride-on buses are not just the people who need to ride-on because they can't afford cars. We need to make sure that this is something that works for everyone, that provides environmentally conscious avenue for folks to be able to get around this county. We need to continue to increase our routes. I'm still always concerned about the fact that to get around areas in Germantown, just in Germantown, sometimes takes an hour, which is incredible if you really think about it. Germantown's not that big. As much as I proclaim how great and large Germantown is, the reality is that it shouldn't take that long to get around areas in Germantown from one side to the other with multiple buses, 2, sometimes even 3 buses to get from one place in Germantown to another. So there's still more work to be done. But I really want to thank DOT. I want to thank the county executive for hearing us and for understanding just how important this is and why this needs to be a part. And then just lastly, when it comes to 270 and the great work that we've all been able to accomplish as advocates, I just want to thank all of you for being advocates for the Up County and continuing to fight for 270 expansion. We know that because we are not linked to mass transit rail options, we are limited to ride-on. And like I said before, 3 buses to get around Germantown outside of our MARC rail station that is in Germantown and Burnsville, which in those cases actually takes you kind of out of the way so that you then have to either backtrack via metro. It makes it really inconvenient. It would be great to have these other kinds of options, including mass transit along those high occupancy toll lanes along 270. It just gives more options for folks to be able to connect to other mass transit options. And so again, just I'm really appreciative of everybody's vision and understanding, just as we supported the Purple Line and all the great things that that's going to mean. This expansion along 270 in right-of-way is going to mean tremendous opportunities for folks to be able to utilize other mass transit options that weren't there before. So thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Rice. Agreed. I just would add, it's not only Montgomery County, of course, that is reassessing. We've all learned so much across the country about travel patterns and ridership under COVID, and are trying to predict what the world post-COVID will look like. Prince George's County is reconsidering their network, and I'll share with you very soon a letter from the Washington Suburban Transit Commission to WMATA urging them to do the same thing in consultation with MCDOT. So we all need to make our network much more equitable and efficient, and all jurisdictions, I think, are looking at redesign under those circumstances. Councilmember Navarro.
Thank you, Mr. President and Chairman. I want to thank the T&E Committee for these decisions. I think it meets the moment, but it also recognizes a lot of the conversations and debates that we had in the past, especially recalling that when we were having conversations about BRT, there were many instances where we discussed ride-on as such an asset, and why wouldn't we instead focus on elevating and truly bringing ride-on to this sort of 21st century network. And so I think it's been important how we are taking this asset, we are adapting it to what are the needs, both before the pandemic and now, of course, post-pandemic. Many of us worked in the past, not only for Kids Ride Free, but to also add additional stops in particular high schools, for example, where it wasn't so safe to walk to. Particularly Blake High School, I remember in my district. And so there are so many ways that we can, I think, position ride-on, as it was stated before, with this infrastructure funding possibly coming from the federal government to figure out how do we leverage ride-on into also our BRT network. And so for that, I hope that, again, as we come out of the pandemic, as Councilmember Rice noted, it's wonderful that so many people of color, of course, utilize the bus system. I want Montgomery County to get to a point where those people of color and low-income people actually ride it because they believe it's better for the environment or is a much more efficient way versus having to only rely on bus. Because our ultimate goal needs to be to develop a very strong and implement a very strong economic development strategy to create the jobs that then give those people of color options for better wages and for more dignified work. I don't find it should be a point of pride that we have such a high number of low-income people and predominantly people of color having to rely on public transportation because in Montgomery County, they don't seem to have access to good jobs. So I feel that there needs to be this sort of comprehensive way of looking at these issues. And it is my hope that, the council going forward will look at all of this through the lens of racial equity and social justice, but also address the root causes versus just, facilitating better infrastructure, but while keeping people in these low wage jobs. So it's all very connected, and I think that we definitely will benefit by recognizing and investing. And I want to also acknowledge Mr. Conklin, because he has seen this progression of this conversation with ride-on and our bus system, et cetera, and it looks a lot different than it did even, I think, 8 years ago. So kudos to Mr. Conklin also for having a vision that facilitates taking us to this next level. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Katz.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and Mr. Chair. We appreciate that. And thank you to the committee for all of your hard work. And I want to just very publicly thank Councilmember Glass and Councilmember Reamer and you, Mr. President, and all others who have worked so very hard on getting free fares on buses. I have been an advocate of that for many, many years. It always has struck me that people that are riding on a road don't realize how much they are paying to be on that road, because they don't reach into their pocket each and every time they're getting on, unless you're getting on the ICC or something like that. And of course, now you don't reach into your pocket. You get a bill in the mail eventually. And it doesn't become as obvious to them how much they're spending. And especially for someone that has to reach into their pocket every time they get on a bus. And in many cases, as been pointed out by others, Councilmember Navarro and others, this is many cases that are the lower economic, their jobs are in the lower economic areas, that becomes an area that it's not beneficial, or it's not something that they can afford. And we really should not be doing that. I believe that if we are going to have a good bus system, just like we have a good transportation system, highway system, it should not be that someone has to reach into their pocket each and every time to use it. So I applaud this. I understand that we're going to be doing these studies. I understand that we're going to have to figure out how we are going to pay for it. We have all of those issues, but I think this is literally a step in the right direction so that we can get more people on a bus rather than less. And at some point, it costs the bus is a fixed cost, what it costs to run it. The people on it on an individual basis don't cost you any more because it's already going. So the variable costs are very different. So at any point, I appreciate what the committee is doing and I applaud it, and I will certainly be supportive of it. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Dwanda.
Thank you. I'll bring it up the rear to use a pun this morning, as many of our riders are entering from the rear for safety. I want to thank all of our great folks at DOT and my colleagues on the committee, Councilmember Glass, Councilmember Reamer, and Council President Hucker. I think this is critical. I remember I'm looking at the top of my screen, I'm looking at Councilmembers Glass and Albornoz. When we were running a few years ago, this came up a lot, that we should make ride-on free. And I know, I was one of those folks that said it. I know Councilmember Glass said it. I think Councilmember Albornoz talked about looking at it. And it's something that, just when you look at the outlays, $20 million a year for all the reasons in fares to run this system. Public transit's always been running at a loss. It's not meant to turn a profit. It's meant to offset some costs. But when you look at the balance of the things, it makes sense. And I think COVID has shown us that people who need transit need transit. And it's also shown us that if you make it, I'm very interested to see the ridership studies on the bus rapid transit. But I think there is some gaining to be had to improving the quality and timeliness and ease of transit access, particularly on ride-on and all of our transit. And that will increase ridership as well. So, and it's just a win-win. I'm glad we're taking yet another step in this direction. And I want to thank Councilman Glass and all the colleagues that have led that effort. I do want, since this is my opportunity not being on the committee, even though I did join for the next topic, just want to ask Director Conklin one question, and you probably can anticipate this question, Director Conklin, because I've been asking it for 3 years about the ride-on comprehensive study of where stops are, aligning them with services like libraries. We've talked about recreation centers, and now our community hubs, go down the list. Is this study that was mentioned earlier going to include that? And could you just give me an update on a reminder of what the timeline? I think it is. I think the answer is yes, but I want to, and what the update of the timeline of that is going to be.
Yeah, Councilmember Jawando, thank you. Yes, it will include looking at improving service to those public service hubs, libraries, schools, rec centers, community colleges, and all of those facilities. We are scoping that work now internally, and we are coordinating with WMATA because WMATA is undertaking a similar exercise at the same time. And it appears as we sit here today that we will comprehensively include WMATA and Ride-On Services in the county assessment of that, and WMATA will use that as part of their network redesign. We intend to post the scope of that study before we award any contracts so that we can get comments from the public on the work before we start the work to make sure that it's meeting the needs people think it will. And our intention is to get underway over the summer and into the fall. And public engagement both on the vehicles at key transit centers and out in the community is going to be a critical component of that work. So you should see it ramping up. You should see information about the scope in the next couple months publicly available, and then the study ramping up in the end of the summer headed into the fall.
Great. And it'll take about a year, you think? Or how long do you think that will take?
It's going to take a little longer than that, given the amount of outreach we need to do. We think it's about an 18 to 20 month effort.
Got it. Okay. Well, that's really exciting to hear that WMATA, you're going to be able to coordinate at the same time. That's going to be really helpful. One of the issues, Councilmember Navarro mentioned Blake High School, and I advocated for adding funding to Norwood Road. One of the issues that came up, particularly from the coaches there, was that you have the bus stop, but that there's not stops on the way. It takes you right to the school, but if you're in that mile and a half, for example, you get caught in, you have to walk. So from New Hampshire. So and that was a WMATA question. So as well. So it was their bus that they were talking about. So that's really exciting to hear. Thank you for all your work. I think that's a huge opportunity combined with the free ridership to actually getting it going to places where people need to go in a more coordinated way. That'll be a big win. So thank you to you and to all my colleagues. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Council Member. And we should do this, I think, in a again. But I really want to. Mr. Conklin, thank you and Mr. Wilana and all your team, but particularly all our bus operators, since we're talking about this, who are on the front lines, day after day. They didn't sign up to put their lives at risk. They didn't sign up to be firefighters and police who know that that's part of the job. They signed up to provide an essential public service, and they were thrust into this role this year before there was a vaccine, which seems so far away now, and before we had adequate PPE, and we were on endless conference calls trying to fight with FEMA and other jurisdictions to bring it into Montgomery County. And we lost a number of your employees, Michael Miller early on in April, Nelvin Ransom, a friend of mine, and union leader for years. And I'm sure there are many in there. I know there may be others, and there are many that got sick and were hospitalized and other things, and we're on the front lines to provide this essential service. And here we are talking about it all without acknowledging that. And I think that's it's very important that we do that, and that we do something to recognize them for their sacrifice. Council Vice President Albornoz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Extraordinarily well said. And thank you for your leadership and the committees as well through all of this. This is a very exciting and important phase forward in the evolution of DOT, and in particular our bus service. Ride-On is such a tremendous asset, something that we should all be extraordinarily proud of. And I know DOT has done some extraordinarily heavy lifting this last year in trying to continue the operation going in a way that's safe and tries to adhere to the guidance, which was a moving target, as we all know, since the beginning of this pandemic, and had tragic consequences. So we just, as the council president said so eloquently, express our deep appreciation to everyone for their sacrifices throughout this difficult time. And I'll just underscore 3 points made by colleagues, and then one additional one. The first is that the return on investment in doing this is so significant, both from an economic development standpoint, from a quality of life standpoint, but also you can draw a straight line between these recommendations and improving overall public health in Montgomery County. One of the greatest barriers to accessing healthcare services is transportation, and people just frankly are less likely to go to a doctor's appointment if it's difficult for them to get there, or if they have to pay in order to be able to get there and they are not in a position to be able to do so. So this has major implications for all of us, and clearly we're going to have to partner closely with WMATA to get some folks who may be reluctant to access mass transportation options because of everything that's transpired this year to ease them back into this. And we all have to model that behavior. And I know prior to the pandemic, there was a week where all of us took public transit, and I think we should all be doing it more often, especially this next year, so that we can model that behavior for all of our county residents. But thank you all. And I also agree with Councilmember Glass's recommendation for an assessment and evaluation to look at the return on investment, to look at the costs, but to look at the benefits too, both direct and indirect, that may come from shifting our approach and how we provide right-on services to our residents. So thank you all for your leadership.
Thank you all. Okay, so I don't see any other comments. Mr. Conklin, do you have anything to add? Did we leave anything out?
No, I think you covered it. I think we made a set of strong recommendations for this part of the budget. The committee gave it great consideration, and I'm happy with the recommendations the committee's put forth.
Great. Okay. Thanks so much for all your hard work and your staff. All those in favor of adopting the committee's recommendations, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you. Now we have to move a resolution to approve the FY22 transportation fees, charges, and fares. Mr. Camacho, Dr. Orland.
Yes, this resolution just merely reflects the changes in the other two discussions you have. It shows seniors ride free starting July, and so it deletes the senior fares that have existed up till then, and it shows the increased rates, parking rates in Bethesda and Wheaton, and the increased enforcement hours in Silver Spring and Wheaton effective in January. So I think the straw vote on that.
Terrific. All those in favor of the committee's recommendation on that resolution, raise your hand. That is unanimous. Great. Thank you. And then finally, we have the DOT FY22 general and leaf vacuuming funds operating budget. We have a committee recommendation on that as well. Dr. Orland.
Sure. First of all, on the leaf vacuuming fund, the committee recommended approval of it with no changes. On the general fund, it recommended also approval of the executive's recommendation, with the only change being to add $150,000 in support of safe routes to schools, as Mr. Joando raised, as well as $100,000 in addition to that for a study that would complete the assessment of pedestrian access to all Montgomery County schools. To offset that $250,000 net increase, the committee is recommending further reducing the roadway patching budget by $250,000 below the executive's recommendation, which would cut that budget from last year's approved down to about a little over 5% of what it was, 5% less. So still would be funding 95% of it. On the CIP, the committee recommended approval of the Bikeway program minor projects project, except to add $500,000 in general obligation bonds in FY23, so that the Dr. Bird Road Bikeway would be fully funded. There have been money in the executive's recommendation taken from that to fund the Marinelli Road cycle track in White Flint, which was to be done a few years earlier, but was delayed because of a PEPCO coordination, and they needed the money in the CIP to do that. And so so as not to short the Dr. Bird project, they added $500,000 for that. The committee did not recommend executive's recommendations to delay funding for the MacArthur Boulevard Bikeway improvements, the Goldsboro Road Sidewalk and Bikeway project, and the Bowie Mill Road Bikeway project. The executive had recommended a two-year, and 1 year delay in those three projects respectively. The committee concurred with the executive's recommendations to accelerate some funding in the resurfacing primary arterial project and the resurfacing residential rural project, basically $1 million in each from FY24 to FY22, and to accelerate $1 million in the sidewalk and curb replacement project from FY23 to 22. And finally, it recommended approval of, again, a proposal by Mr. Giwando and Safe Routes to Schools to add $200,000 to the pedestrian safety program project in the CIP and GO bonds to support improvements for Safe Routes to Schools. And with that, that's the sum total of the committee's recommendations.
Thank you, Dr. Orland. Councilmember Giwando.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to again thank the committee for unanimously recommending my approving my recommendations to double the funding for Safe Routes to Schools and to fund this study that will comprehensively look at the entire county in the walkshed to see where sidewalks are, where they aren't, and make some recommendations in the next year. I want to thank DOT for the innovation and coming back and working with us to be able to pull that off. I said, when I dug into this issue more often, and this is happening in too many places, inside communities, on major roads like Norwood, but also other high schools as well, and other schools around the county. When they raised this issue, heard from a lot of residents. And right now, not in spite of DOT's effort and how hard they work, to Councilmember Hucker's point, a young student starting being born today would graduate high school before all of our schools were assessed for safety. That's the pace that we're on. And this will cut that in half. And then also, to Councilmember Hucker's point, allow us next year in the full CIP to have the information we need to make a robust investment in safe routes to schools. So really appreciate the committee approving this, and just appreciate my colleagues and the work that DOT did as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other requests? Councilmember Rice.
Well, thank you very much. No, I just wanted to echo what Councilmember Giwando is talking about. So, Director Conklin, I know we've had this conversation before about Safe Routes to School years ago, back when Christina Morris Ward lost her life in Germantown. So what happened in terms of, and unfortunately, I had assumed that we were on a pace that would have gotten all of these. I see Councilmember Navarro nodding, because we had this conversation in great detail about how we wanted to accelerate Safe Routes to School. Was it just something that based on capacity couldn't get done, or was it budgetary? Can you just fill me in and help me to understand what happened there?
I certainly can. There are two pieces to the puzzle here. There was a round of Safe Routes to Schools assessments that was completed for every school in the county service area, not those within the municipalities. That assessment looked only at the school frontages. And then those improvements were initiated and largely completed. The council then funded a further assessment of a larger walkshed area. Those started about 2 years ago, and they're funded at a pace that, each is a little different, but, somewhere between 2 and 5 are done each year. And Councilmember Giwando was right in talking about the pace of that. This cuts 6 to 7 years off the timeline based on the level of resources available to that program to complete all of those. So it's been in discussion for a long time, and the work has been underway, and we've hit milestones, but we continue trying to do more, and this helps us do more faster.
Excellent. No, well, I really appreciate it. And Councilmember Giwando, thank you very much for highlighting this, because I unfortunately missed that. And so I'm very happy to hear that we're back on track. I had assumed when we had put forth that initial funding and recommendation, that was going to get us everything that we needed. because we were talking at the time, back then, about the new Seneca Valley High School, the same high school that Christina Morris Ward went to, and how we needed to evaluate that entire route, going from, where she lived to the school itself, and identify all the mechanisms that are there. So really just, again, want to thank you, Councilmember Joando, for highlighting this. We'll make sure that in education and culture, we follow up with this as an agenda item, maybe joint, Mr. President, between T&E and education and culture for maybe late this summer. And maybe we can also have a conversation about Ride On and some of the proposals that we have via children being able to utilize Ride On to be able to get to school as well. So look for that, committee members coming up. But thank you very much, Councilmember Joando, for bringing this back to the attention and spotlight so that we can really dive into some of the bigger issues that are here at the forefront. So thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Conklin, as well.
Thank you. Okay, so now all those in favor, Councilmember West.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And for this item and for all the previous items, again, thank you, Director Conklin, and your entire team. I think this morning's conversation takes a really holistic approach to how we all safely get around our community. And part of that safely getting around is making sure that our streets and roads are safe, and the Vision Zero aspects are critically important, because it's somewhat dumbfounding that in this last year, in the year 2020, when so many people had the ability to work from home and quarantined at home, we had 501 serious incidents on our roadways here in Montgomery County involving pedestrians or bicyclists, and 18 pedestrians were killed. It is not the worst year on record, but it is one of them. And it is one of the tragic ironies of this last year, when so many of us could stay home safely, yet so many on our streets were still injured. And so it really underscores the conversation that we're having now and the efforts to redouble our efforts to make sure that our streets, roads are safe. And I appreciate Councilmember Joando for highlighting the need for ongoing work, right, with the safe routes to schools, taking a look at that. And I believe all of you, my colleagues, were at the town hall that I hosted, the virtual town hall back in January, on Vision Zero, and one of the two breakout rooms was on safe routes to school, and there were hundreds of people in that breakout room. And so clearly something that we need to continue working on. I again appreciate Councilmember Joando for making this recommendation in the budget. And as E&C Chair Rice just noted, I think whether it's a joint committee, a full council, whatever it might be, clearly we all recognize this important issue, recognize how we need to continue making progress on it. And I know that I've spoken with Council President, T&E Committee Chair, about having a Vision Zero update after budget. So perhaps we just elevate it to the full council so that we can have these holistic, robust conversations. And hopefully we are a few months into this year, 2021, and our efforts now will reduce the numbers of people getting injured on our roads, and this will lay the foundation and the roadmap for further reductions in the future. So look forward to working with all of you and DOT on those efforts. Thank you, Mr. President.
Dr. Orland?
Yes, sorry, two quick follow-ups. Yes, Mr. Glass mentioned in the T&E session that he'd like to have a very comprehensive briefing on Vision Zero. We haven't had one since January of last year. And so we are planning, we don't have a date yet, but we're planning to schedule something for the full council either in June or July, with schedules pending. The thing is, I want to correct something I said earlier in my summary, a small point. In the sidewalk and curb replacement project, I think I said the committee and the executive and the committee had recommended accelerating $1 million from FY23 to 22. The correct number is 500,000. That's what the committee and the council and the executive recommended. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of adopting the committee's recommendation, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Great. Good work, everybody. Thanks. That wraps us up by 10:30, and we will now be able to recess until the 1:30 work session. Thank you.